Hmm. You knew I was gonna be late, so you just decided to be late as well. I was late. To be fair, I have two dogs. I see. I see it going up, so I don't know. I don't know if he's trolling or I see it moving. So when you talk, so I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'll double check though. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. I can't hear you, but I see the levels moving up. Oh, I hear me. That's never happened before. Right. Well, that's usually I mute myself, so usually that's a easy. Let me move my mic away from me. Here, let me try one more thing. All right, coach, you gotta let us know because I'm too lazy to check myself. All right, Steven, you can talk now. What is happening? Yeah, coach, I'm using OBS, and the levels are moving up when he talks. It's not muted. The levels are literally moving up as he's talking. Yeah, I can hear him. This has never happened. I've streamed so many times. This has never happened to me. I don't understand. Because the levels are moving up, so there's no way of me. I guess I could restraight like it's a muffle. I wonder if it's the stream itself. I could try and restart it. uh oh, I got it. Hold on, I remember. I changed something earlier. Hold on, hold on. Greetings. How do I do? There you go. It's all fixed. Steven, you can talk now.
Can I be heard now?
Yes, yes. You're a bit
Okay.
loud on your end, so
Oh,
push the mic
okay.
away from
Maybe
you.
I'll just step away a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, yeah,
coach.
coach.
IT support.
So when I record
Info.
separate videos, I have the desktop audio and my mic on two different tracks, and I record both tracks.
Yeah.
Right. So I have the desktop audio on track 2, my audio on track 1. But when you stream, I don't think you can stream using both tracks. I can check later, but I don't think you can stream from using both tracks of audio from OBS. I don't know if you use that, Coach, but that's what I do if I record a separate video. Make sure I can level out audio later. But anyways.
All right, well, we might as well just start this thing over, okay? So rewind. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, as you can tell, we haven't done a podcast in a while because Brandon's just screwing up.
Here's the thing.
I even wake up on time. I'm in my seat at 10, and this is what you do to me. You're late, and you have technical difficulties. You have one job on that side, okay? You have one job, Jamal Murray. I need you to be consistent. Okay.
Look, new apartment, new setup, new internet, new everything. So,
anyways, tell us about the new apartment real quick. I need to check my settings real quick because I'm super loud. So talk real quick.
So you give me crap about your technical issues, and now you have technical issues. Your mic was hot though, so but I don't know. I think you just need to push your mic away from you because your mic was hot when you were talking to me. So I don't know what's going on with your end, but yeah.
How about now? Is that better?
No,
it's not.
No.
Look how far the mic is from me.
It's a little.
It's a little. There's legitimately so.
It's better. It's
much...
better though. It's better though.
All right, hold on. One more thing. How about now?
That's fine.
Okay.
I think you're good.
Awesome. Okay. Anyways, we have a lot to get to because we have not done a podcast in quite some time. I really don't like the mic being this far from me.
I know. My mic is really far from me too, but...
naturally, I'm coming... You know what? Coach said it sounds fine, so I'm going with Coach and not you. You had technical difficulties. I can't trust you. Anyways, okay. Where do you want to start? We can bash the Nuggets and Jamal Murray. We can make fun of Drew Lock. We could preview the Super Bowl. Remember the Super Bowl that includes the guy that you wanted to trade? That's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, there's a lot of different areas we could go. We could talk about how Kevin Durant somehow was able to play in a game last night. Despite being in the health and safety protocols.
That was a disaster. I was following that on Twitter. I'm like, what is going on? What is going? Yeah. How did he get back in there? Because it was maybe about an hour before the game where I saw Woj's tweet saying that Kevin Durant will not start due to contact tracing, and then he put out a tweet maybe 20-30 minutes later saying he will not play, and then another 30 minutes go by after at the very end of the first quarter. It's like Kevin Durant's checking in, and then an hour goes by and it says Kevin Durant leaves the game. I'm like, are you guys all right? What this is? And now they want to do the All-Star game, and
which all players hate. Yeah, they're all just crapping on it. When you have LeBron, Kawhi, who else did it? Giannis was like, I think we just need to follow the big dog. And I'm like, Giannis, you know what? Have a voice of your own, okay? If you want to play it, you say you want to play
it. Well, look, whatever LeBron does, everyone's going to follow. So
except for Jokic. Jokic is a man of his own.
I don't think Jokic would want to play either.
Speaking of that, did you see when they asked him the similarities between him and LeBron? And he was like, our quickness, athleticism is there. We're about the same. I don't know if he can jump as high as me. It was hilarious. He's great. And then the Nuggets proceeded to get kicked in the face. From the second half on.
Yeah, I mean,
but we can talk about that too.
That's the best team in the. We can start with the Nuggets. That's the best team in the league. The Lakers are. They don't have the best record. Utah will fall apart at some point. We're all used to that. But the Lakers, I think right now they're just kind of coasting. I think to start the year they were saying it was more of like, all right, let's kind of show we're defending champions, blah 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 blah. But now I think it's for most of the league too. I think it's just kind of time to coast, probably until after the All-Star break. Because the All-Star break is what, March? So yeah, over the next month, I would say most teams are probably going to coast here, and you're going to start to see some teams' records drop. You're going to start to see some teams' records rise because of that. And then after the All-Star break, I think that's where you're going to start to see the difference, where the Lakers will probably take off and take the 1 seed. If Denver's one of those teams, they will get back up there. We'll see. If Utah's one of those teams, they'll get up there. You'll kind of see teams in the West jump up to the top 4. So like, I think there's 4 teams tied at 12-9, and Denver's one of them. I guarantee you 2 of them will be, yeah. So you got Denver, Phoenix, Portland, all at 12-9, and then Golden State and San Antonio are 12-10. Memphis is 9-8. They haven't played very many games, so we'll see.
How about Dallas? I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Well,
they have completely imploded.
Who has the Knicks have their pick, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. Well, from the Kristaps trade.
Yeah.
So.
But I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas too, after the All-Star break, kind of kicks into gear. But you'll see out of Denver, Phoenix, Portland, and Golden State, out of those 4 teams, 2 of them will be in the top 5 and maybe even top 4, and separating themselves from the bottom half of the 8 teams to make the playoffs. I think Utah will drop back down. Maybe they're one of the 4 teams in the top 4, maybe, but I think they drop back down. So it's going to go with the Lakers, the Clippers. They're the 2 best teams in the West. And then it goes, which 2 of those 5 teams, Utah, Denver, Phoenix, Portland, Golden State, ends up running out that top 4. But I think you'll start to see that separation right after the All-Star break.
Yeah, and Coach said, isn't it gorgeous to watch Dallas suck? I feel like there's some Luka. Phoenix could have drafted him, disdain there. But I don't mind Dallas sucking. I'll take it. I mean, that's a team that gives the Nuggets problems, so I'll take it. I just didn't see it with largely the same team as last year. And I mean, there's no Seth Curry. Other than that, who else did they lose? I mean, they're pretty much running back the same squad. And
you look at what they rely on, though. They rely on Luka, obviously, right? But outside of Luka, and how they build the team is kind of how you would want to build a team around LeBron, right?
That's how you'd want to build a team around Jokic. Like if we could trade what Dallas has for what the Nuggets have, I'd love that.
The problem they're built with shooters is the shooters that they have are inconsistent shooters, and so they're
Hardaway is really good.
I think
he's a really underrated player.
Yeah, Hardaway is good, but I think the rest of the group, it's last season. I think everyone had a good year, right, shooting the ball. I think this year most of those guys, I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure most of those guys, all their shooting numbers are down. They don't play defense, and their shooting is inconsistent, and they're a team that's gonna live by the 3 or die by the 3. That's a team that motto goes towards. Golden State, back when they were that team, they didn't live by the 3 or die by the 3 because they were so damn good. It didn't matter. Steph was so consistent from 3. Clay was so
those
consistent
early
from
championship years, they lived and died by it. I mean,
I would say
rarely died, but
I would say maybe that first year for sure. But that
Kevin Durant, though, I mean, they were chucking those things up. I don't know where they were in the league, but I guarantee they were top 2, top 3.
Well, yeah, but they were hitting shots, though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah,
they didn't
because
necessarily...
they have the 2 best shooters ever. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. Whereas Dallas, Luka can't hit a 3 consistently at all. And the other guys, other than maybe Hardaway, they're inconsistent. They can't consistently hit 3s throughout the game. And so that's where you're seeing, and then they can't play defense. They don't have a big to protect the paint. Porzingis isn't one of those guys. At least I don't think he is. And Porzingis has been hurt and inconsistent. So I think they would benefit from getting someone like an Andre Drummond, or even if they could, I don't think they have enough to give up, but a Bradley Beal. They need a big that can defend the paint, that can score down low, and they need another guy, another scorer that they can rely on. They're kind of in a similar
Listen,
spot as Denver,
they need to
to be
start
honest.
Boban. That is the answer to their question. He's 7'14". He murders the Nuggets every time. He can get boards like no other. He can score. I'm just kidding, by the way. But no, I think part of it too is like Kristaps is. I don't know if he's like fallen off.
Yeah,
I don't
coach
know
just
if it's
sent
just the
us
injury, but
yeah. Look at what
he just.
he sent. That they
Yeah,
cannot.
yeah. I'm seeing that graphic now, Coach. This
Yeah,
is rough.
they're inconsistent, and look, last year they all had a great year, and it's funny because I love, I don't know, I forget where we heard it, but it was Colin Coward on the show one time. He said, take a player's best year and take their worst year, take it out. The rest of the years, that's who they are. I think a lot of those guys on Dallas, they had their best year last year, and they're all becoming who really we're all seeing who they really are this year. And look, they can hit the three, like they're good they're solid role players, but they're not role players that you can rely on. They're not Monte Morris. They're not, a Will Barton where you can kind of rely on a little bit more.
Can you rely on Will Barton though?
More than them, yes. To do, not
Mm,
necessarily to shoot, but I think to play hard, to play defense a little bit, and to score somewhat consistently. I think he's a guy that you can rely on more so than those guys.
I'd take Tim Hardaway over
I would take Tim
Will Barton.
Hardaway, but the rest of the guys no. I think Tim
Um,
Hardaway is the only guy where I think he's a legit role player to keep around, and you can see it on the graphic, right? But everyone else is all way down, and then there's Luka way at the top. So, and then Porzingis, I think Porzingis is better. I just think he's having issues with injuries and
Yeah, I forgot they got Josh Richardson. He's one of those players that's sneaky long, very athletic. Um, Maxi Kleba always seems to kill the Nuggets too. Like that's he's like of that like Davis Bertans, like those lanky white dudes that just sit out on the three and drill threes all night in your face. At least against the Nuggets, that's how it always happens. But we're here. Can we just blaze the Nuggets now? Because I just, ugh, they just
well, it's funny.
they
It's funny because they're the fourth seed in the West right now, and
they just feel like they're and I shouldn't say it because they did go on like a 6 or 7 game win streak there. They were playing really well and they ran up against LeBron and the Lakers and but they had a chance to win that game. I'm not going to say they should have blown out the Lakers because obviously that's not the case. They had a chance to win that game. I think part of it was one. I thought outside of his first 2 or 3 buckets to start the game, Jokic was a no-show.
mhm.
That was Jokic of like pre last year,
Yeah,
right?
that
Where
was
it's
the
like,
first bad game of the year.
is he going to be aggressive or is he going to be passive tonight? He was aggressive to start, and then he was just nowhere to be found. I think foul trouble had a role to play in that because I think he got 3 in the second, or maybe 2 late in the second, and then he went out.
Oops.
And then outside of that, I mean, Jamal looked good to start the game. And then, in the second half, he was just nowhere to be found. There's just so many areas I just want to dissect this team. Where do you want to start? Because I have issues with Jamal. I have issues with Paul Millsap. I have issues with Will Barton. I have issues with Gary Harris in that I think it's time we need to just maybe swallow the bullet, so to speak, and just find a way to get him out of here because he just can't stay healthy. It's just what it is at this point now. I just there's so many avenues I want to in the whole third quarter thing. Like at a certain point, I get the players come out lackadaisical, they get cute, looking at you, Jamal. But at some point now it's like, okay, Michael Malone, what are you doing that is not working? What adjustments are you not making? Like there's so many avenues of this team I just want to attack and flame right now. So where would you like to start?
Well, I think, look, uh, what you mentioned a couple guys, Paul Millsap, Will Barton. Paul Millsap is done. The only reason why they brought him back was because I think they want to bring back Jeremy Grant and bring in JaMychal Green, and let Paul Millsap go. I think that was probably the original plan. When they lost Jeremy Grant, they were still able to get JaMychal Green, but they needed someone else. So they brought back Paul Millsap. He's done.
It was a panic move.
I don't think it was a panic move. I think it was just best available at that point. He already knew the system. I think he was the backup plan. I think that's what it was. And that the free agent class this past offseason wasn't that good. So you didn't have a lot of options. And that's why they signed him to a 1-year deal. Right? If he was more of a, I believe it was a 1-year deal. If it was more of a long-term plan, they would have signed him for 3. So, or at least we wanted you originally. Then they would have signed him for a 3-year deal. Will Barton, I think, just doesn't fit on this team anymore. I don't think he really understands what his role is. I think there's a lot of guys on this team that don't understand what their role is. And I think outside of Jokic and Monte, I don't think anyone else knows really what their role is. I think Jamal and MPJ are fighting to be that number 2 guy. Will is lost. Gary doesn't necessarily fit the role that they need him to fill. Paul Millsap can't do it anymore. JaMychal Green does fit in that role that he's playing in.
He's been great.
But he needs to start. He needs to start. The problem is, look, these guys, at a certain point, you can only get so far with what they have. And that includes their head coach. And we've talked about Malone, and we've questioned, is he the guy that builds this team and can get them over the top as well? Or is he the guy that just builds it and they got to move on? Just like with Golden State, Mark Jackson built it. They moved on from him. There was some other issues too, but it was also, let's go out and get a guy who can elevate this team, take this team to the next level. That was Steve Kerr. Going back to the Jordan documentary, the Last Dance, they talked about how, I forget who they had originally. I can't remember. The head coach. Who was it?
Collins.
Yes, Collins. And they talked about how he was able to get them to a certain point, but they needed someone to take them to the next level. Phil Jackson was sitting there on the bench. He knew he was learning the triangle, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted to go with him to kind of elevate the team and take the team to the next level. I love Malone, and he's one of my favorite coaches in the league, but I don't think he can elevate this team. I just don't. I think the message is getting a little stale in the locker room. And look, every time I talk about this, they go on some ridiculous run. Just like in the playoffs, we talked about it when they were down 3-1. They came back from 3-1. And then we talked about it again against the Clippers, and they came back from down 3-1 again. So every time I talk about this and mention this, they go on some ridiculous, stupid run. So I don't really but I think at a certain point, it's, you fooled me once, shame on me, or shame on you. You fooled me twice, shame on me, right?
Yeah, let's
butcher that one. I think at a certain point, we keep on going over the same pattern. It's this run of kind of like these issues pop up all the time, and all of a sudden it gets fixed for about a 6 to 10 game run, and then it pops up again, and then it's another 6 to 10 game run where it seems fixed. And that's been kind of the case over the last 3 years. So at this point, the front office needs to make a decision, and they need to start making moves. You cannot just continue to wait, because you're wasting Jokic's prime. And I mean, he's what, 25? You have, with him playing like this, you have probably 4 more years minimum, I think.
I think with him it could be longer, because he's not a super athletic guy.
I think it could be longer, but we see it a lot where some guys hit their prime between 25 to 29, and then they kind of fall off a cliff. Or at least they kind of go back to what they were maybe between 22 and 24. I'm not saying that's what I think was going to happen to Jokic. I'm just saying that's a possibility. So that's why I'm saying at minimum, you got 4 more years, right? But I would say that you need to win and go for it within those 4 years, because there's a chance once he hits 30, he could fall off that cliff.
Yeah,
So,
maybe. I
so
just don't think it's likely. I don't
I
think
don't
he'll
I
fall
don't
off a
think it's
cliff at
likely
30.
either, but you cannot just continue to say, well, Jokic is or Jamal's only 20 23 24, MPJ's only 21 22, blah blah blah, Bobo is 20, whatever. They cannot wait 5-6 years for them to enter their prime finally, and then Jokic is 31 and we're like, well, now we have to win because Jokic is
Yeah.
31.
No,
So
I agree.
it's kind of like Dallas, right? When
Yeah.
Dallas had Dirk, it was let's wait, wait. And then, Dirk's 32, 33, 34. We got to go all out now. They can't do that. And LeBron is, keep on saying this year after year, but LeBron's getting close to where at some point he's not going to get to the finals when he makes the playoffs. It's been 9 straight years. So I think it ends at 10. I think this is the last year. I think next year is your window. Is at least when that window starts to open. They need to make a decision this offseason. And I get it, they just re-signed Malone, but you got to really take a hard look at Malone. And with the rest of this group, you have to make a decision on Jamal. I think you're good with MPJ, and you gotta make a move. You gotta either overpay to go get someone, or you gotta make a gutsy trade on a 1 or 2 year rental and hope that they re-sign with you. But they have to do it now, because if they wait, it's going to be too late.
So, no, I agree.
At the end of the day, the team that they have, it's good enough to be a top 4 seed, maybe even a top 3 seed, possibly get to the Western Conference Finals. That's their ceiling. Last year, I think they hit their ceiling with this group. So, and then they did really nothing in the offseason. So they need to make a move. It's got to be Bradley Beal. That's the only option you have right now, at least right now. So if you want to make the move this season and go for it this season, you have to give up whatever it takes to get Bradley Beal. Jamal Murray, Will Barton, whoever else, keep Jokic and MPJs off the table, and 4 first-round picks. I would go all out.
Well, if I'm Washington, I'm not coming to the table if MPJ's not in there. I see
Jamal?
if you're giving me no. I mean, I'd take Jamal, but you need to. I'm not coming to the table.
I think if you're also offering the 4 first-round picks, I think that's a big, because remember, 4 first-round picks isn't 2022, 23, 24, 25. It's 2022, 2024, 2026. And 2028. You cannot trade a first-round pick back-to-back years.
But you also have to think too. If you're trading Bradley Beal to the Nuggets, those will be.
But he could.
You would think
he could
good
easily
picks.
leave. He could easily leave.
But okay,
and
then
Jokic
at least half of
there's
those.
There's a chance that the last 2 picks are top 10 picks.
Sure, but half of those are probably going to be 15 to 25.
I would say the other picks are swaps. So you give up pretty much 8 first-round picks.
That's just me, though. If I was Washington, I'm not coming to the table unless MPJ's at least in there somehow. But you touched on a lot there, and I want to get to all of it, too. So with Paul Millsap, I agree. I think he is over the hill. I think he has to be in a Udonis Haslem type role with the Miami Heat, to where he just is there for mentorship and leadership. Other than that, he doesn't need to be on the floor. I mean, his defense is atrocious. Like, that's one of the main reasons why Malone loved him and kept him around. He can't guard anybody anymore. Every time he touches the ball on the offensive side, I hold my breath. I wonder, how is this going to go awful? And it usually ends up going awful. I mean, how many times have we seen him leave layups short or little bunny shots?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? And then speaking of layups, Will Barton cannot finish around the rim for his life. I don't know if he's in his head right now. But it seems like every shot around the rim is rimming out, and he just can't finish. And I think for Will Barton, I think part of it is maybe he's pressing a little bit going into a contract year. He wants to really show something. He's not showing much of anything. And for him, I think the Nuggets, the best thing for them would be kick the tires on potential trade partners to see what they could get for Will Barton. Now, obviously, you're not going to get a haul for Will Barton, but I just right now he's not really adding much to the team. And I think for him, it would be better because I think eventually he's going to get replaced in the starting lineup by MPJ. So I think it would be better for him to go to a place where he could play for a good contract. So Will Barton is just I just don't even know where to begin with him outside of the finishing. He's not adding anything right now. Michael Malone, I think I'm just now getting to that point because I've always, I think, out of the two of us, been more pro Malone than you have. Not to say you're anti Malone, but I think I've been a little bit more reluctant to go the route of, okay, we need to start thinking about moving off this guy. I think I'm starting to get there. I think Malone's a good coach. I just don't.
I
These
think he's
third
a great
quarter,
development coach. I think he's a
yeah,
fantastic development coach, but I don't
well,
think he
defensive
can.
coach, and I just don't think he has the personnel that he wants to anymore to do what he wants. Even when he did have guys like Torrey Craig and Jeremy Grant, like the team was still iffy and suspect at times defensively. I just think there's times where I'm just like, at a certain point, you keep blowing third quarter leads and you keep going on national TV and making a fool of yourself. And like at a certain point, like I'm looking at you now. Like I'm not letting the players completely off the hook, but I'm also looking at you. Like what are you doing or not doing
Mhm.
that's contributing to this problem? I don't think he should be fired or anything like that. But I do think now is a real time to start thinking, okay, is Malone the guy that can take this team over the hump? Can he get the most out of a Jokic and a Murray and an MPJ? So I think that's real. With Jokic, I think he'll be in his prime for many years. I think he's one of those guys that doesn't rely on athleticism. I think I could easily see him playing into his, mid 30s, late 30s like Dirk did, and just relying on that skill
Mhm.
and his passing and his IQ. There will always be, even when he does fall off of a cliff. I mean, Jokic would be a hell of a bench option coming off the bench as a guy who could provide you 12
Yeah.
to 18 and
My point was,
five
though,
assists.
let's not wait to go all out when
Sure.
he's at the end of his career.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. And, we're hitting 25, 26. He's, I would think, just entering that prime. But, I mean, there's no guarantees that he'll stay. Hopefully he's a Tim Duncan type and he just wants to stay committed. But Tim Duncan also won early in his
Right.
career. If Tim Duncan didn't win early in his career, does he stay in San Antonio? I don't know. So I agree. We can't waste Jokic's prime. You need to build this team better around him. And that's where we come to Tim Connolly, and I don't even know who their GM is. I just know Tim is really a mainstay in those type of decisions. This team is the ceiling is very clear, and I think we saw that before the season started. But I don't think most of Nuggets Nation or those that cover the Nuggets either wanted to see it or did see it. I think this team has a hard ceiling of second round. Things fall your way. Somehow you back into a Western Conference Finals again. But I think that's a ceiling. I think this is a good team. I think it's a playoff team. Um, Outside of that, this isn't a championship level roster. And to be fair, though, it's hard to come across those. Like, how many teams can you point to in the NBA right now and say, oh, I could legitimately see them winning a title? I could see the Clippers, I could see the Lakers, and I could see the Nets. Philly, maybe, and Milwaukee are probably on the outside looking in. I could see them possibly getting to a finals, but I don't know if I could see them winning the finals.
Yeah.
I think it's either going to be LA, the Lakers, or the Nets or the Clippers that are going to win a title.
And look, among the West, Denver is probably a top 4, top 5 team. I think they're better than Utah. I think they're better than Phoenix. I think they're better than Portland. So like they're a top. They might be the third best team in the West, but there's a gap, a massive gap between the two LA teams, and then the rest of the crew. I think you got the two LA teams, then there's a big gap, and then there's Denver, and then there's a little small gap, and there's the rest. I think that's kind of what it is. The only reason why I don't put Portland right there with Denver is because of injuries. You cannot rely on that
Even
team.
when they were healthy, they were not playing defense at all.
And look, maybe we're wrong about Utah, but until Utah proves otherwise, they got to win a first round series.
Well,
I can't put Utah there.
I think Utah is clearly the third best team in the NBA,
Maybe
in the West.
they're playing like that, but I don't
Right.
think they
Well,
are.
roster wise, they're not, but they're
Right.
playing that way, and that's what I mean. They're playing as if they're the third best team in the West.
Mhm.
I think even though they have the best record right now, I like you. I do not buy Utah because what they remind me of is the Nuggets of the past few years that we've seen multiple times. Very deep, play well in the regular season, and I'm telling you, watch, we're gonna get to the playoffs, and they're gonna end up matching with LA, one of the two LA teams in the second round, and
If they get
that's a
there.
gentleman's sweep.
The
I
the
think it's a
problem the
gentleman's sweep.
problem with Utah is, look, I like Donovan Mitchell, but I don't think he is. I don't think he can be your number one guy on a deep playoff team. I think he's a solid.
Mm,
He's a great two.
mm.
If he were to join a Luca or a like a Kawhi, he'd be great next to Kawhi. Like I think he'd be a great two. The problem is that one, he's the one number one guy on that team, but there is no number two. You can say Gobert, but Gobert can't do anything offensively other than dunk. So he's limited, and that to me disqualifies him as being any type of second best player on a deep playoff team. He can be the third or fourth. Probably the fourth is where I would want him to be. So I think Gobert would be great on the Nuggets because he'd be, the fourth best player on the team, at least as offensively fourth option, right? So that's where I think that team, they have a lot of shooters. They're deep, but I think they have a problem at the top end. Donovan Mitchell's not a number one, and Gobert is not even a number three.
And that makes me think of Shaq's comments a few weeks ago that everybody was up in arms about. But I actually agree
I
with
agreed with
Shaq
it too.
that he doesn't see Donovan as like a superstar. And again, I'm nitpicky when it comes to that. I think there's only two superstars. If you want to throw Kawhi, I guess he's borderline, and Steph is borderline. But I think there's only two guys in the NBA right now that are superstars, and that's LeBron and that's Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
And then outside of that, you have your perennial all stars, your elite type of players, and then you go from there. But I think Donovan he's a volume shooter. You can see through his stat line, there's a lot of 10 of 25, 6 of 19. Like he hits a lot of those. It's similar to Jamal in that aspect. Now I
Well,
think
check
he's a
this out.
little bit more consistent than Jamal, but
Over his career, I'm going to take out his rookie year, but he's right around 20. He's averaged 23.8, 24, and 23.3, okay?
mm-hmm.
That's all on 20 shots, 19.4, and 18.6. That's not good.
Yeah, he's not efficient. Yeah,
No,
he's a
not
volume
efficient.
guy.
And the worst part, too, 4 assists and 4 rebounds. That's not good enough to be the number one guy.
That's what they were saying on TNT that week, is that the stat was he's only had, I think, one game of double-digit assists and one game in his career of like double-digit rebounds.
Yeah,
I
he
think it
doesn't.
was.
He doesn't. He's a scorer, and that's why I'm saying I think he'd be a fantastic two guy. I think he's very similar to CJ McCollum.
Oh, I love CJ McCollum so much.
But think about it.
I love that guy.
If Donovan was the second best player on his team, you would love Donovan Mitchell. You love
Yeah.
CJ because CJ can never be that number one guy, but
I
because
think
he's the second best player, you love him.
Those guys are both really good twos, but would be amazing threes on a team. Like the third option, like, that would be perfect. And coach said Bogdan was injured during the bubble. He was. But again, we have experience with this. We see this with the Nuggets quite often. They're a deep team, regular season great.
It reminds me of the Denver Nuggets with Carmelo. Now, I think Carmelo was better than Donovan Mitchell, but I don't think Carmelo could. I don't think Carmelo could.
What do you mean, like play style, or just like how good they were?
The team. So like you had Melo. Now I'm gonna say Melo is better than Donovan Mitchell, easily. But I don't think that Melo could have ever really been the best on a championship team. I think he would have been an amazing two.
I don't know. I think
I don't think he could have gotten there.
If they were able to get past that Lakers I think he could have. They would have beat
I think
Orlando
I think
in the
maybe there was
finals.
1 or 2 years where he could have been that where he was that guy, but for the
Yeah.
most part he wasn't. And it took them getting Chauncey to really be the leader of the team for them to get there.
Mhm.
So Melo didn't have everything to be that number one guy. He could at times, but he didn't have
He lacked,
everything to
yeah, he
be it.
lacked in leadership, and I think where he lacked, I think Donovan's probably a really good leader.
Mhm.
He's a feisty guy. You can tell he has a lot of fight.
Right.
Like what I loved his response too to Shaq when Shaq was like, "What do you
Yeah.
think about that? Me saying this?" And he was like, "Okay, like, all right." And you know that inside that lit a fire in him, and I like that. But like I agree. I think Donovan's a great player. It's not to say he's a scrub, but I think the really star level players find ways to impact the game in multiple ways. That's why we rave about Jokic so much, because it's not just scoring. It's not, he can literally choose on a given night, how do I want to dominate the game tonight? Do I want to play make? Do I want to pass? Do I want to score? Do I want to rebound? Do I want to do two of those, three of those, four of those at the same time? And you saw that against Utah. I mean, and that's a defensive player of the year candidate in Rudy Gobert. And I thought it was a bold strategy by Utah to be like, you know what? We're not gonna do Rudy on Jokic tonight. We're gonna play him weak side and have him come over and try and bother Jokic's shot. And so they threw like Bogdan or Bogdanovich on him and like those type of guys. And I was like, that's a bold strategy. And what did he do? He dropped 47. But even when Gobert's on him, like you look at the playoff series, he still averaged 29, 30 points a game.
Yeah.
So it's like the great ones, they find multiple ways. LeBron does that. Kevin Durant does that.
Mhm.
By the way, how great does Kevin Durant look, by the way? It's just, I think
I
Donovan
mean,
is of that.
I wish
second or
Kevin
third tier.
Durant would do it, without another top 5 player, but
Oh,
that's just
come
me.
on. Come on. Don't be that
I'm just
guy.
saying.
He is the greatest scorer I have ever seen of the basketball.
Yeah, he is.
He
I
now,
agree.
when it comes to winning championships, I'll give you that. But being just great, he doesn't need anybody's help.
Well, yeah, but
So, oh my gosh. Now you've transitioned your hate from James Harden to Kevin Durant. This is so unnecessary.
No, I love Kevin Durant. I just wish that he, didn't join a 73 win team. He didn't.
Well, he took the easy way out.
Yeah, well,
He did. He took the easiest way out. But to be fair, what do we judge these guys all the time on? It's championships. Yeah. But again, he did join the bully that beat him when he was up 3-1. They didn't need Kevin Durant.
No.
Well, they apparently
did.
did.
I think
yeah,
they
Draymond
did.
called him in the parking lot and said, "We need you, please."
Here's the thing.
They shined the bat signal into that bay sky, and it was Kevin Durant's skinny legs, his twigs. That's his bat signals, the twig of his legs.
I think it would have been different because if I think we both agree, I think most people agree, if Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy that year one, they would have won.
Yeah.
So they would have won back to back. I think at that point, it would have been more okay for KD to join that team because they had just lost twice in the NBA Finals. They can't beat LeBron. They need someone to beat LeBron. I think it would have been a little bit better. But because they won that first one and then they went on to win 73 games in the regular season and just completely dominate the West and come back from 3-1 themselves in the conference finals, it just looked bad. But I think if it was different where Cleveland had won those first two, then it wouldn't have been as big of a deal.
Yeah, if Kelly Olynyk didn't try and, intentionally snap off Kevin Love's arm, and then if Kyrie, he like fractured his kneecap or something like that.
Yeah, it was game one because Cleveland won game one.
Yeah.
It went into overtime. They won game. If they had just Kyrie, I think they would have won that series.
Yeah, possibly. Philip Stern. Shout out to Philip. I don't know if you've ever been in the stream before, but shout out to you for interacting with us. He said it was okay for the Warriors, but not KD. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Warriors want to win championships. Kevin Durant, he was still trying to cement his legacy. Now, I don't think that'll, change. I think it'll be just a little footnote in Kevin Durant's career, like join the best team in the league that didn't need him.
Because and everyone compares, well, LeBron joined Miami, but that was different. Miami
Yes,
had a
Miami was a
losing record.
meddling playoff team.
They
They were
well, they had a
bottom
losing
feeders
record,
in
I'm
the
pretty
playoff
sure, the
race.
year before.
Yeah, I think they were an 8th seed the year before LeBron got there,
Yeah.
and they lost to Boston, I want to say, in the first round. Or they did have a loser, something like that. But they weren't great.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not like LeBron went there and joined Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. He joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh at the same time.
Right.
So like it wasn't an established team like Kevin Durant was joining the two greatest shooters ever, and
that
Draymond Green, who was a
and
defensive player of the year.
by the way, that big three of, at least with Wade and Bron, that was a plan from 4 years. That was a 4-year-old plan. That was eventually going to happen. Melo was supposed to be the third, which that kills me. I wish Melo would have been on that team, but yeah, and then one thing I wanted to get to, Coach thinks that Dallas will get Beal. I don't think they will, unless no other team offers anything better. Dallas doesn't have a lot to offer.
I mean, Washington would want like Kristaps, Hardaway. I mean, that's what I would want. I would want Kristaps, Hardaway.
I would take Jamal over both of them. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on what teams.
Well, speaking of that, we didn't get to Jamal before because I also want to talk about the Nets because I think they're doing something.
It's simple with Jamal. It's time to move on. Because there is something better out there. If Bradley Beal if Bradley Beal's not available and that's that, then fine. But if there is something better out there like Bradley Beal, yeah, I'm offering Jamal, Will, whatever else they want other than MPJ and Jokic, and I will give them 4 first-round draft picks, and then the other 4 that they can't technically have, I'll offer swaps. 8 first-round picks, Jamal, whatever else they want other than MPJ and Jokic, and I'm getting Beal.
Let's not get crazy here. Let's not be Brooklyn and give 8 first-round picks.
I wouldn't trade Jokic, MPJ, or Monte. Because you need Monte to replace, and Monte would be the starter.
I like Bradley Beal, but I'm not trading 8 first-round picks and Jamal for Bradley Beal.
4 of them are swaps. 4 of them are swaps. It's what Brooklyn offered Houston. That's essentially what Houston got.
That's for James Harden. Okay, there's levels to this. Bradley Beal is not James Harden.
Bradley Beal just had 10 straight games of 40 plus, and they won one of them.
Okay. But James Harden is going to be a certified future Hall of Famer. Do we know that about Bradley Beal?
If Beal wasn't in Washington, I think that might be a different story.
I don't. Bradley Beal's really good. I think he needs a couple more years. Like, he just entered into this type of play, like the last 2 or 3 years. James Harden's been doing this for close to a decade now.
Right, and I understand that. But when you look at Bradley Beal's, if Bradley Beal was in Houston instead of James Harden, I think he gets to pretty much where James Harden got.
Oh, no. Stop it. Stop. You're diminishing. See, now you're back on the James Harden hate. Now you're diminishing James Harden. James Harden is one of the best players, scorers, playmakers.
I understand that, but what Bradley Beal is doing right now is right there.
He's playing really well. Use your own argument. Take his best year and his worst year, and that's where he's at. I think Bradley Beal's a 24, 25 point a night game. You know, point a game per night. I don't know, something like that. But James Harden has averaged 30 in this league multiple times.
Right. And
won scoring titles.
So the last,
and I'm sure he's led the league in assists at one point too.
It's hard to say with Bradley Beal's early because he didn't play. I mean, I guess
he had injury history, didn't he? He
just didn't play because he was averaging. He was averaging right around 30 minutes, but he did have injuries. 46 games, 59 games, 35 games. Yeah, that's right. He did have injuries. So
I was gonna say.
So the last 4 years, where he's played all season, because they only played about 57 games last year, right? Does that sound right? Because he played 57 last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so he hasn't missed a game then since the 16-17 season. He played 82, 82, 57, and he's played 18 so far this year. Out of those 4 years, he averaged 22.6, 25.6, 30.5, and now 33.3. And then the year before that, where he played 77, it was 23. So
I think he's mid-20s, high 20s.
He's mid to high 20s.
James has been doing that for a decade. Like Bradley Beal's just hitting that type of stuff. How old is Bradley Beal? Is he like
He's 20. He's
28?
25.
Is he really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He is.
He's
Hold
only
on. I'm
25.
pretty sure.
I feel like Bradley Beal's been in the league for like 8 years.
Hold on. Let me look at.
He's
He
not 25.
is. He's 20.
Coach said
Oh,
20.
he's 27. He just turned
Okay.
27.
Okay, I was 25.
Oh no, his birthday was in June.
Way. Like, would he enter the league at 17?
Where did I see
Yeah.
25? Oh, that might have
I
been
don't
that
know.
might have been someone
I
else.
don't know where you saw that. Listen, I like Bradley
He's
Beal.
27.
I think Bradley Beal is a stud. He's very efficient, as Coach said. But I just don't. Philip, are you saying Jamal is all around better than Bradley?
Jamal is not
I don't
better
know.
than Beal. Jamal's
I don't
not
know
better
about
than Beal.
But
not
let's
even
get
close.
back to Jamal, because I want people to know, like,
If there's someone better, it's time to move on. It's that simple.
just what, 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago, you were like, Jamal, like, you were still on the train pushing it. I was the one that, like, I'm not sure if he's. It's at least a year ago for sure. We were both on different
because
sides.
I think, look, I think the bubble turned some players into that. I did not think that Jamal was one of those guys. I thought that Donovan Mitchell was one. I thought Booker was one. I thought who else kind of blew up in the bubble?
MPJ to an extent.
Dame
Well,
was one, but Dame was
Dame
different though. It went from 30 to 40, not 20 to 30. That was
some guys
different.
played well. They played better in the bubble.
But because the bubble, they were playing there every day. The bubble was consistent, and so a lot of these inconsistent players became consistent because of the bubble.
There's no travel. There's no crowds.
Right.
So
I did not think that Jamal was one of them, because I was looking at the year before in the playoffs, and I was ignoring the regular season. And look, in the playoffs, if he's still on the team and they don't do anything, what's going to happen? Jamal's going to average 25 a game in the playoffs. Which, look, I will take that. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's just I want him to average 23 to 25 in the regular season and bump that up to 30 in the playoffs. That's what I want to see.
That's a tough jump, though.
Well, but essentially that's what he's doing. He's going from 18 to 20 and bumping it up to 25 to 27. So why can't he average 23 and bump that up to 28, 29? Why can't he average 24, 25 and bump that up to 30? Because he's doing it. He's essentially doing it. He's averaging 18 to 20 and then bumping it up to 25.
I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely not a talent issue, because we know Jamal has the talent. He just, I don't know. I don't know what the disconnect there is for Jamal. For some reason, it's just not. And Philip says he's a better all-around game, better passer, ball handler, probably better rebounder and defense.
Well, I mean, I disagree with that, because Beal last year averaged 6 assists. The year before that, he averaged 5.5.
Did he really?
What's
oh my gosh?
What's Jamal averaging playing point guard?
Dude, he averaged 6 assists. Wow, maybe I need to rethink my Bradley Beal takes.
This year he's averaging 33, 5, and nearly 5 assists. Last year he averaged 36 and 4. The year before that he averaged 25, 5, and 5. Also 1.2, 1.5, 1.2, 1.3. That was his steals.
That's really good. I would say
shooting 47% from the field, 35 from 3.
I would say with Jamal, I think he is the better ball handler. I think Jamal is is an underrated ball handler. As far as rebounding, I mean, the stats probably don't show that. Defense, I mean, that might be a push. Passer, I think he's gotten better. But one thing I'm noticing with Jamal, and tell me if you've seen this too, he over dribbles so much. So much. There will be times Jokic will have a Schroeder or a Jay Crowder or someone like that, and he just doesn't get him the ball. My biggest pet peeve with Jamal is when they go off the pick and roll and he waits and Jokic is at the 3-point line, open. And not only does he wait to pass it, he takes like 3 unnecessary extra dribbles, but he does the behind the back pass every time. I'm like, Jamal, and it's off target most of the time. Please, Jamal, just turn and give him a simple chest pass or a bounce. That's all you have to do. But he over dribbles too much. He never attacks a big when he gets the switch. I think he's fallen way too much in love with that fadeaway jump shot. And that's another thing. Every jump shot with Jamal is a fadeaway. It's never like a squared up shot, body facing the basket. It's just him fading away, trying to be cute. I just don't understand. There's just so many things about Jamal that just annoys me to death. But he's got such great talent. Like he can be a 24, 25 point a night, type of guy.
He can
But
be
for
Bradley
whatever
Beal.
reason, the disconnect is there.
He can be Bradley Beal.
Do you think it's just a bad fit with
and by
Jokic?
the-
Do you think that's just it?
No, because I think Beal would work. I think Harden would work. I don't think it's a bad fit with Jokic. I think it's a bad fit with MPJ. Look, and I want to get to, so there's all this Bradley Beal hate apparently. He wasn't a big factor in the playoffs. When they were in the playoffs, he was 23, 24, so same age as Jamal. But in the regular season the last time they made the playoffs was 2017, 2018. He averaged 22 points per
Wizards?
game. Yeah, which doesn't seem that long ago. I think that was where Paul Pierce was on the team.
That's what I was gonna say. The only one I remember was Paul Pierce,
It was
where he
Paul Pierce
banked
and
in
John
that
Wall.
shot.
So Bradley
And he called
Beal,
game.
with those two guys on the team as well, was averaging 22 in the regular season. He bumped it up to 23 in the playoffs. So I don't know. And then in 2014, 2015, at 21, he averaged 23, 5, and 5 in the playoffs. In the regular season, he averaged where is it? 15. So yeah, he did play well in the playoffs. It's just he was on Washington. There's a difference. And also he had John Wall on the team at the same time. So look, Jamal could end up, in 3-4 years. If you look at Bradley Beal's and Jamal's career, I'll give you this. It's very oddly similar. How old is Jamal right now?
24, 25,
24.
something like that. I think he's a year younger than Jokic.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me pull up Jamal's career.
Hey, yeah, Mike. I love that. Please, Jamal is the new Mike.
Yeah, Jamal's 23 right now. And he's averaging 19. He's had 3 straight years where he's averaged 18, 18, and 19. And then 4 rebounds. He's averaging the same numbers. Look, Jamal's not a better all-around player. I'm sorry. 4 rebounds, 4.5 assists.
He's being consistent there. At least he's hitting his numbers.
Yeah, at least
I guess he's consistent.
His field goal percentage, his 3-point percentage. His 3-point percentage is right around the same. I think Beal is slightly better. His field goal percentage is worse. He's averaging less points, less rebounds, and right around the same assists, if not less. But around that age, let's take 21, 22, and 23, where Jamal averaged 18, 18, 19, and then 4 and 4 pretty much every year, right? So that's what he's at, 18, 4, and 4. At 21, Bradley Beal averaged 15, 3.8, and 3. The next year, he averaged 17 at 22. At 23, and here's the thing. What have I always said with Jamal? Wait till he hits that 23, 24, right? Because it flips. Well, at 23, Bradley Beal went from 17 points per game at 22 to 23 points per game at 23. And then it started to hit at 24, 23. At 25, 25.6. At 26, 30. It started to hit. Jamal's not hitting. And so I said, this year was a big year for Jamal. It needs to be a step-up year. It cannot be the same 18 points per game. Because if it's not that step-up year, I'm not sure if he'll ever hit that.
Yeah, and another thing, too, that I'm
maybe we give it next year, too. And give it for him to hit that age 24. But you got to make a decision. He's 23.
Yeah, see, I'm not ready to. I'm done with the he's young excuse because he might be young in
But
age, but he's not young in years in
and
the
here's the
NBA.
thing, he's turning
It's just not.
24. He's turning 24 in February. So
So
I don't know
we're
how
doing
long we can keep this going.
no, you
This
can't.
was the
You can't.
year. This needed to be the year. And
Can't.
if he doesn't flip a switch here and get it going by the trade deadline, you have to take a serious look at Bradley Beal
I agree.
because you're wasting your time. You're wasting Jokic's time. And who's to say, look, if you don't figure things out and Jamal doesn't figure things out and you wait till Jokic is on his last year of his contract and you don't win that year, he's going to leave. Jokic wants to win. At the end of the day, Jokic wants to win. And if you're not getting close, he's going to leave. And he has friends around the league. He loves Luka. I'm just saying.
We're just setting up for a Luka Jokic Denver reunion. That's all we're doing here.
That's what's gonna happen if you don't make a decision here.
That would be awesome. I would love that. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. Everything you're saying about Jamal. It's time. Like, there's no more excuses of the young. He's young. Yeah, he's young in age, but he's not young in experience. He knows what this league is about.
The weird thing about Jamal is the playoff runs, and it's not just the bubble. It was a year before that too, because he averaged 25 a game or 26 a game. So that's like the weird thing that kind of makes me a little hesitant to just maybe we should wait one more year. But yeah. I mean, how many more years does Jokic have on that contract? 3?
Well, I think 3 after this year. I think at this point, though, one thing I'm noticing about Jamal is that he's injury prone in the sense that he accrues a lot of nagging injuries that seem to hamper him a lot. And I've noticed that's become a theme, like on the altitude broadcast that they mention a lot is, oh, he's dealing with the elbow, and oh, he's dealing with this thigh, and I'm just like, okay, but okay, you just got to find a way. You got to make a way. If you're hurt, then now he doesn't miss a lot of games, so credit him there. But I'm just wondering if that's going to come back to hurt him. But I do think the Nuggets are at a point where they have to make a move. There's no more waiting. It has to be, if it's not the trade deadline, it has to be in the offseason to where they need to make a move. We can't just play this patient game anymore.
And he said different systems. Beal was asked to score 25. Murray is asked to play point guard. No, that is completely off base. Yeah, Jamal is starting at point, but who's really playing point? Jokic. Who's averaging 10 assists a game? Jokic. And by the way, Beal, yes, he was asked to score, but he also had another guy taking a lot of points from him in John Wall. John Wall around that time was averaging 23, 25 points per game. So, and then MPJ's not taking points away from Jamal. He's just not.
Where are we at with MPJ?
We're asking Jamal to be the scorer here. That's what they need him to be. Jokic is playing point. Monte is playing a lot of minutes with Jamal. So then at that point, Monte plays point. Jamal is not asked to play point barely. Out of his 35 minutes that he's playing, Jamal is asked to play a point maybe 10 minutes per game.
I mean, he's asked to bring the ball up, but he's not the offense's initiator.
No, he needs to be the scorer. That's what they need him to be. That's why he's taking 15 to 20 shots a game.
Give him a break. He's Canadian. Yeah, Brandon gets very angry. When he gets on a rant, he gets angry.
How many shots is Jamal taking right now? A game? 15?
I would say
20?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
He's being the scorer. He's in that role. He's not playing point guard. Don't give me that crap. He's shooting 15 to 20 times a game.
See what you did, Philip?
He's averaging 18. That's the problem.
You made him mad. Does that make you feel better? Do you feel a little bit better that you got that out?
No, because Jamal needs to step it up or they need to make a
move. Where are we at with MPJ? Because let me tell you where I'm at.
I think MPJ's already. I think if he was getting the minutes and the role that Jamal was getting, I think MPJ would be averaging 25 a game.
Okay. Well, I'm of the mindset that MPJ needs to make vast improvements to his game.
I don't think he's getting the opportunities.
He's very predictable offensively. He has terrible hands. I think he has the worst hands in the NBA. He cannot catch. He cannot catch for anything. He will fumble, bobble, drop every pass. It could be a little just like a lob too, and he just fumbles it. His handle is awful. He gets stripped a lot. He lose.
Hmm.
You know what he is? It's like when you create a player in 2K and you haven't got all your badges yet, and you haven't upgraded your attributes for the ball handling, and you try and make some moves, and the first two look cool,
Yeah.
and then your player loses his balance, and then the ball fumbles. That's MPJ.
Well, I think
He's just
if you could give, it's MPJ is a consistent. He's a consistent scorer, but he's not a consistent player yet. And you're seeing the flashes. I think. How old is he? 21, 22? Again, I think
something
it's
like that.
where we were with Jamal when he was 21, 22. But I think MPJ just has more of that raw talent than Jamal did. And so you're seeing more of the flashes. And that's why I'm saying I would trade Jamal first before I would trade MPJ because he's younger and I think he's showing. Like, if you look at the games where Jamal sat out and MPJ was averaging 25 to 30 a game, he was doing what we need Jamal to do when Jamal wasn't playing. The weird part is when they're both on the court and they're both playing in games. It gets messy because I think they need to. The Nuggets are asking Jamal to do what MPJ is great at. And they're asking MPJ to be the third guy, which I think is what Jamal would be great at.
Well, they're
I
asking him
think
to
they
play
need to
off ball,
swap the
and
roles.
MPJ's not great off ball, and Jamal's not a consistent enough scorer.
Yeah.
So it's round peg. I use this term a lot. It's round peg, square hole, or square peg, round hole, whatever you want to call it. Like it's just it's not a coincidence that MPJ's best games usually come when Jamal's not playing.
But it's more so that he's playing that role. That's what I'm saying. And I said on Twitter, MPJ is the second best player on this team. They need to They need to put him in positions to be that guy. They're putting Jamal in. Look, I understand why they're putting Jamal into the position of you're the second best player. You're the second. You're the
They paid
second
him
guy.
to be that.
They paid him to be that guy, and he showed it in the bubble. And he's older. He's 23, about to turn 24. He's about to hit that point, right? Where they need him to be. The expectations are for him to hit that point. But he's not. And the other guy, at just 21, 22 years old, when Jamal is not playing, and he has to fill in that Jamal role, that the role that Jamal is playing, he's giving you exactly what you're like, why can't Jamal give us this 25 to 30 a game, shooting only 15 shots, 13 to 15 shots? I mean, look at it's the games that they ask MPJ to fill in for Jamal. He's doing what we're waiting for Jamal to do, what we've been waiting for Jamal to do for the last 2 years. He's filling that role.
I think he's doing that too. Well, there's not a lot of nuance to MPJ's game.
Mm-mm.
His scoring, if it's not a dunk or a cut or a contested three, he's not really. He doesn't work in the mid range. He doesn't work in the post.
Well, I think he does, and more so in those games.
He doesn't break down guys off the
playing.
dribble. I mean, yeah, but we don't see that a lot from him.
No,
so it's like
because
I think
Jamal's been playing. I'm telling if and it's never gonna happen. But if Jamal would just sit out for 10 to 15 games and give us a 10 to 15 game window to see what MPJ could do as that second guy and see if he's consistent at that 25 to 30 game mark, I think we would get it. I think we would get exactly what we want from Jamal with MPJ. And that's what I'm saying. If we decide, I like Jamal. I like MPJ coming off the bench because he doesn't play with Jamal. But MPJ needs to get the 30 minutes a game. And Malone's not giving him the 30 minutes a game. And that's another problem. So at this point, it's almost like, man, I wish Jamal's injuries would get worse enough so he would sit out. Because I want to see not because I want Jamal to get hurt, but I want to see MPJ play that role more. I
Yeah, that
want to
sounds
see a
rough
10 to
though.
15 game window of him playing that role. I want to see if he's consistent
No, I understand.
because
Just how you want to go about it is a little bit rough, but
well, there's no other way. There unless you're trading
he's like,
Jamal.
can't Jamal sprain knee just be like a torn ACL for like
No, well,
10 days,
I'm
please?
not. I'm just saying Jamal needs to sit out because he is injured. He's
No, yeah,
refusing to
well,
sit out.
yeah, that's what we hear all the time is how banged up
Right.
Jamal is, and I'm like, oh my
He
god,
needs to
okay,
sit out. But the other reason why I want him to sit out is because I want to see MPJ to take on to see what he can do.
yeah. Well, we're
Because
fast approaching the time where they're gonna have to make a decision on one or the other.
if they trade MPJ, they're gonna regret it.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah. I mean, you
They're
never
going
know,
to
but
regret it.
maybe.
If they trade Jamal, I don't think they're gonna regret it unless it's a situation where Beal gives you 2 years, you get close, but you don't win it. He leaves, and then in 3-4 years, Jamal becomes Beal. Because at this point, you got to make a decision. You got to either go for the win now, right? These next 2 years, or you have to wait 5 years for Jamal to hit that point. Maybe not 5, 3. And you
Yeah, we don't have
better
that long.
and it's either and it's waiting 3 years for either Jamal or MPJ. Hopefully both. So that's where they're
Hopefully.
at. And look, I'm okay either way because in the back of my I'm fine with waiting on Jamal. And the only reason why I'm fine with waiting on Jamal and keeping him and waiting for the 2-3 years down the window is because I know MPJ is right there. And MPJ is gonna hit that, and I know MPJ is gonna hit that window when he hits 24.
And then meanwhile, you see in Minnesota a guy like Malik Beasley, law problems and all, tearing it up. I'm just like, ugh, we had Malik, we had him. I hated that
Well,
trade when that went down,
yeah.
and now like he's played so well there. I'm just like, man. Even Wancho's had his moments. Even Jared Vanderbilt has had his moments where he's no, it's
Yeah.
he's not
They were
shattering.
going for Drew Holiday and they missed.
Yeah. Well, and again, I don't know how much
And
Drew Holiday would have really.
I don't think it would have done anything. But
Like, what would that have really been?
that was
So
I agree with you. I wish they had I wish they had Malik, but they would have had to pay Malik, and Malik got paid.
yeah, he got a lot of money.
I just
So good for
and
him.
they had Jeremy Grant, so that was they were expecting to keep Jeremy Grant. If they didn't have Jeremy Grant, they wouldn't have traded Malik.
Philip says, "I wish we had Halliburton. That guy, for as good a shooter as he is, his shot is so ugly. It is I'm talking Sean Marion level, like Kevin Martin levels of ugly. It goes in, but holy smokes, dude, that dude's shot is just awful. And speaking, we can wrap up the Nuggets talk and get to, because there's still so much we have to get to. But they play the Sacramento Kings tonight. I'm fully expecting a third loss to the Kings today. The Kings, for whatever reason, just have the Nuggets number.
I think Denver's playing better though right now than they were when they.
How are they going to guard Fox?
Well, I don't know.
and,
That's the one guy that tends to kill them.
and Buddy Hield?
But
And
here's the thing. Jamal didn't play. Yeah, Porter put up 30 in the second game that they played. So Jamal didn't.
he's averaged
play.
27 against the Kings this year.
Yeah, MPJ plays well against Sacramento. I think they win today.
Very dramatic, yes.
I think Denver wins. I think Denver's better right now. I think they're playing better.
They've been better, but they've also 0-2 now against the Kings.
Yeah, but again, that was 2 of the first 4 games.
Sure,
So,
but
like-
again, like you have no PJ Dozier, you have no Gary Harris. They couldn't even stay in front of those guys with those guys available. How are they going to stay in front of Fox?
Well, it's going to be a
and
high-scoring
Buddy
game.
Hield and all those guys today.
It's going to be
I
a
just don't-
a high-scoring game. It's going to be 130 something to 120 something. I mean, that's what it's going to be like. 133 to
Sacktown is
128.
free falling. I don't know, Coach. The Nuggets free fall whenever they play the Kings. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's just every year there's a team that just owns the Nuggets. Last year was the
Cleveland,
Cavaliers.
yeah.
We couldn't beat the Cavs. This year it's Sacramento.
Well, they
It's
didn't
just-
get a third game against Cleveland. I think they beat Sacramento today, but I don't think it's easy.
See.
I don't think
Well,
it's easy.
nothing is ever easy. Easy with the Nuggets? You know what's easy for them? Giving me a heart attack every game, making me unhealthy levels of angry.
You know, the easy
That's what's
games,
easy for
the
them.
easy games for the Nuggets seem to be funny. I know they lost the first game against Utah, but Utah, Minnesota,
That was fun.
and that was fun. I hate Utah.
OKC with Steven Adams.
And
Jokic did just
yeah,
terrible,
yeah,
terrible things to
OKC and
Steven
New
Adams.
York. Those are the four teams that Denver just dominates no matter what. Those are the four teams. And honestly, man, and I remember I didn't get it. I don't know if I said this, but I was afraid to play Phoenix. I think Denver. I think that's a good matchup for Denver. I don't think Phoenix can.
It's
I
6 or
think.
7. I
Oh
was talking
yeah,
with
I
Coach
think it's
about
six
that
or
on their
seven.
pod.
But
That's a 6 or 7 game series.
I think Denver would win in 6. I think that's a bad matchup for.
I could
Phoenix.
see it go either way.
I know.
Well, I think both teams present bad matchups for each other. I don't think the
Yeah.
Nuggets have answers for a consistent Devin Booker
Well, that's
or
the
Chris
thing. Are
Paul.
you gonna get a consistent Devin Booker?
Well, are you going to get a consistent Jamal?
You're
So,
gonna get it. You're gonna get a
you know.
consistent Jokic.
Well, yeah. Well, that's where it comes
That's
down
the difference.
to. That's where it
the
comes down
difference.
to. Can Phoenix do enough to slow down Jokic
no.
and make everybody else
No.
beat them? And that's why I don't get and the Lakers did it. If you're playing the Nuggets, I am doubling Jokic on every catch and every dribble.
You can't.
I am making everybody
You can't, because Gary Harris is one of the best cutters in the league, and PJ is one of the best cutters.
No, you totally can.
You can't, because when those guys cut, Jokic will see it. You can't.
He didn't see it against the Lakers.
Yeah, that was a weird. I don't know.
Ayton does always play well against Jokic offensively. Yes.
Yeah, I think
it's very true.
I think with Jokic, if you double him, he's going to drop 15 assists on you.
He didn't do that against the Lakers.
Well,
and he doesn't tend to do that against the Lakers.
I'm going to chalk that up to that's just a matchup problem with AD and foul trouble, and just maybe it was just a bad game.
Yeah. I think that would be a fun series, but it would definitely be 6 or 7. It's just Phoenix, I just think, needs to find their footing. I just think they need to find out where
I like Phoenix
all fit together.
I like Phoenix, and I think I'm still pissed that they got Chris
that.
Paul and not Denver. I'm still pissed about that.
I'm mad that they got Jay Crowder.
Right, they got 2 of the guys we wanted.
Jay Crowder's so bad.
But they don't have, unless Booker becomes. They need someone to match Jokic. So if Booker can match Jokic, then I think it.
Well, yeah, one of those guys. It has to be Booker. It has to be Ayton, like Chris Paul. Somebody has to match Jokic.
But again, that's
what it is.
Just like Jamal, I'm kind of. Look, Booker's better than Jamal, but I'm kind of jumping off that train of Booker being that guy that can be 26 to 28 a game. I'm just not sure.
I have more faith that Devin Booker could reach that point than Jamal Murray.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
I think 28 points per game, that's special. That's not a lot of guys do that.
Right, that's where I'm saying Jokic is special. Phoenix doesn't have a guy other than the Booker has the potential to be that guy, but I thought he was gonna have that year. So
I don't know. What's with Kentucky guys and not being able to be consistent? I don't get it. Okay, so you think Kings are going to lose tonight? I think the Kings will win. I am very dramatic. I always pick my team to lose. That's just where I'm at with it. Real quickly because I do want to talk about the Broncos and make fun of them for a little bit, because that always gives me pleasure. It's always good to vent about the Nuggets and get out my anger, and then it's always good to make fun of the Broncos.
If
and
you
then
want to talk about Broncos, go ahead.
Make me feel better.
What else have we said?
No, I wanted to get your opinion on the Brooklyn Nets, because I think both of us were concerned about how that would work out. But I'll say this: I think James Harden has taken that third wheel role, even though he's still putting up low 20s. But I didn't think he could tailor his game to be more of the point guard, assist, setting up type guy, to willingly do that. And I didn't know if he would be able to take that third wheel, I guess, type of priority. And he's done that. Mm-hmm. They can't play defense. Me and you could probably go out there and get 10, but
Yep.
I'd probably get 15. You'd probably get 7 and roll your ankle because you have weak ankles. But they can't play defense. But I don't know how you're going to stop them from scoring 150. Like
Right.
those guys, every time down, it's okay. Your turn, Kyrie. Okay, your turn, Kevin. Okay, it's literally the All-Star game. It's ISO ball, but the shots go in like 78% of the time. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Look, they're gonna get to the finals. I think
Yeah, who's
that's
beating them in the East?
no one.
Who's beating them 4 times?
Well, I think the tricky thing, man, if I'm Philly, I do everything I can to get Beal. Because here's the thing. Embiid is a matchup nightmare for Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
Embiid
Good
is
luck,
gonna
Jeff
average
Green.
40.
good
But if
luck,
you
Jeff
can get
Green
a
or
second guy that
DeAndre.
can score with Embiid, I think they
You
can
don't believe in
be
Tobias Harris? Because we know it's not
no.
going to be Ben Simmons. So
No. There's no way. Unfortunately, though, I would still pick the Nets only because I think you would still have to trade. You would have to trade Ben Simmons in order to get Beal. So I don't
I'd
know.
be fine with that.
I mean, I would be fine with it. I just don't know if it's good enough. I like if I'm Philly, I'm like, man, if you could have Ben Simmons, Beal, and Embiid, that could beat the Nets. But Beal and Embiid,
Eh,
I don't
it
know
depends
if
on what you have to give up.
I don't know
Because
if Beal and Embiid can beat the Nets.
a great thing about the Sixers right now is that they're very long too, and
Right.
they can like you can throw the Tobias Harris
That's
and
true.
Ben Simmons at the
Yeah.
bodies that the Nets have. So I think if I were them, I would just kind of stand pat and take my chances. I think that would be like a 6-game series. I really do.
Yeah.
But the Nets are so good. Like Kevin Durant is so good. James Harden is so good.
Right.
Kyrie is Kyrie. So
Yeah.
they're fun to watch,
Philly's
except on defense.
close. Philly, I think, is just a matchup. They have the good matchup, but then they don't have the second guy, and that's the problem with Philly. But yeah, Brooklyn, they'll get to the NBA Finals. I don't think they beat the Lakers. I think they can beat the Clippers. But Anthony Davis would also average 40. So
Philip said, "I think if Philly had fans and Michael Jordan unretired, they could take them." That's good. That's good.
um,
I think it'd be a good series. I don't
that's the
think
Eastern Conference Finals.
Sixers would win though.
I think it,
Yeah.
it, it comes down to Brooklyn and Philly,
Well,
and then in
Embiid
the
has to stay
West,
healthy too, though.
right? And
So
then
because
in the West,
he's iffy.
right? Look, wherever if Beal goes to a team in the West, that team I think can get to the conference finals.
Bradley has said he doesn't want to be traded this year, so we'll see how long that
Dude,
lasts.
I don't know
But
what is wrong with him, man. That's a disaster in Washington.
I mean, he wants to help that team
But
win. I mean, more power to him. I think that's cool, honestly. In a league where guys just keep moving around, like I think it's cool of him. Now, I don't think it'll last. I think eventually he'll get traded.
I
But
don't think it's cool because I want to see Bradley Beal succeed. Um, so I mean,
all right,
look,
I tried Washington. I
I
tried.
I get like I would have wanted to see KD stay in Oklahoma City. I get why he left. I wish he would have joined a different team. I don't want to see Bradley Beal stay in Washington. I don't get it. So
All right.
there's a difference. There's
You're
a big
just a terrible
difference.
person.
No,
That's just what you are.
Washington's just trash. The Wizards,
Um,
that team just needs to leave Washington. They need to sell the team, go to get a new owner, start over. That's
Go to
what they need
Vegas.
to do. Go to Vegas or
Um,
Seattle.
real quickly, we don't have to spend long on it, but the Broncos.
Boo hoo,
There's
Drew
a lot
Lock.
of
Bummer.
there was a lot
Shocker.
of talk about potentially upgrading the quarterback position. They got in on Matthew Stafford talks. They got in on well, I think they're going to get in on the Deshaun Watson talk. Obviously, they're going to find out what they want in the draft. Maybe they'll take a look at your guy Zach Wilson, but I mean, should
Dude.
Drew Lock
I saw
feel
someone else said
disrespected?
it. Someone else said it. I forget who. Oh, it was Joe Theismann. He said he would rather have Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. I like Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago was the guy where it's like that guy's Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. The guy that I watched this past season, that was not that guy. Now, I think Trevor Lawrence will have a great career. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm just he's not what everyone has thought. I think he is as the the easily number one pick, guarantee will change your
Yeah, and
franchise
he's got
around.
flaws. Golly, he's still not a pro yet.
Well, I'm
He's
just
got
saying,
flaws.
with people comparing him to, he's the easily the number one pick like Peyton was and Andrew Luck was.
I still think he's easily the number one pick.
Well, he's gonna be the number one pick. I'm
You
just
have
saying,
more film on him. He's also won a national championship. How many has he won? One? Two?
yeah, he's won one.
He's done it
He's
against the best competition. Whereas Zach Wilson he's the Joe Burrow of this season. He did it for 1 year, I think, because I don't remember hearing about Zach Wilson last
I
year.
think Zach Wilson's better. I think he has a better arm. And look, Trevor Lawrence. The thing about Trevor Lawrence, he's 6'6" and he can run. He reminds
Can he
me of
play
Cam.
for the Nuggets?
Yeah, right. He reminds me of Cam Newton. And Cam had a
Oh,
Cam. Now I'll say that Trevor Lawrence is better
like
at
size wise.
size wise, right? And I think that's the thing about Trevor Lawrence. And I think that's what makes it so easy for people to say he's a number one pick because he's 6'6", he can run it, and I think he's a better pocket quarterback than Cam. So I get it, but Zach Wilson at 6'3", which is still a good size. Mahomes is 6'3", so I don't think that's a big deal. I think he has a better arm than Trevor Lawrence. I think he moves just as well as Trevor Lawrence. And there was a couple throws that I saw from Trevor Lawrence that really scared me. Those comeback routes on the sideline or those out routes towards the sideline, he can make the throw, but a lot of his interceptions was that throw. He had like 3 or 4 of them. And just like the 2 or 3 games that I watched.
Was it an accuracy issue or just not enough strength to get it there issue?
I don't think he has an arm.
Okay.
I think Zach Wilson has a better arm. Now,
Maybe.
can Zach Wilson have the
Does Zach Wilson
accuracy
have
and
the hair?
no? See, whatever. No, whatever.
Gotta take that into consideration.
Shave your head.
Would you want those flowing locks of gold
no.
donning, slapping against an orange uniform?
Well,
on Sundays?
and here's the other thing, right?
I-
And we look. There's certain quarterbacks that can go to a bad team, and change that franchise, right? Peyton did it, but I think that's super rare, and like super rare. I think like Elway did it. There's maybe you could probably count on one hand that many quarterbacks that have gone through the NFL that went to a really bad team and changed that franchise around. Right?
Mark Sanchez.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence.
Championship game twice.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that guy. But if he goes to a situation in Jacksonville where they get him some weapons and they build a solid team around him, I think he can be a fantastic quarterback.
Yeah, what do they have in Jackson? Like Shark?
Right. That's the scary thing is like I don't think
I can name more than like 3 Jacksonville Jaguar players.
Right. It's bad. So like same with the Jets. If whether they take Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, like I think the quarterback that's gonna have the better rookie year is either whoever's the third quarterback or like a Trey Lance. Or Trey Lance, whoever the third quarterback is, or Trey Lance, whether it's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, or then Trey Lance. Because if Trey Lance goes to New England, or if he goes to, who else is another team out there that has weapons looking for, like even if Carolina goes out and gets a receiver in the second round, and they take one of those guys because then they have Christian McCaffrey. I think maybe they'll have a better first year at least, and then it depends if they're the guy, then they'll have the better career. But it really depends on what team you go to. If Mahomes went to Chicago, look, Mahomes is great, but does he win a Super Bowl in his third
You're
year?
not gonna do this, are you?
No.
You're not gonna
I'm saying
slander Mahomes again?
I'm saying he probably wins an MVP, but what I'm saying is
Of course, it matters the situation. Yeah,
does he win a
Patrick Mahomes
Super
got
Bowl?
dropped. Well, no. I mean, one, it's Chicago,
Mahomes
so
got
let's
dropped
be
in
real.
the absolute
Yeah,
perfect
he's an
situation.
amazing talent that got dropped into the best possible situation for him.
Right.
A
And
Hall of
then
Fame offensive
and
mind.
not only
Um,
that, but then signed a contract to help his team,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
amazing. So he went the Tom Brady route. And the
Yeah.
thing that and you know, you kind of joked about it earlier that I wanted to trade uh Russell
You
Wilson
did.
specifically, and then
No.
if
And Patrick Mahomes. Yep.
Patrick Mahomes got the contract that I thought he was gonna get, then you know because
I don't remember it like that. I just
be,
remember you saying you
well
just
because
wanted to
I think
trade Russell
well
for
the expectation
Patrick Mahomes.
the expectation was Mahomes was gonna get he was gonna be the highest paid quarterback, which he got a contract that looks like it. But if I have the article up because I did want to get to this. Who wrote it here?
Tannehill is the Trevor Lawrence comp.
Uh,
That's scary for me. I don't want to see that.
no. I don't think so. He's better than Trevor
That would
Lawrence.
be awful.
Kevin Clark, wrote a piece. I maybe I'll share it on Twitter. Kansas City is executing its master plan to perfection, is what the article is called. It's written by Kevin Clark. It was written on the 3rd, so a few days ago. It's incredible. And one thing that they get to, though, there's a couple things I want to talk about. They talk about how Andy Reid, when they hired Andy Reid, I'll get to the Mahomes thing after, but when they hired Andy Reid told them, I want to be the head coach. That's it. Because he was the head coach and the GM in Philly. He wanted to be just the head coach. And then they got the GM, and I forget who their GM is. Well, it was Dorsey, but then it's whoever they've had the last few years. Because Dorsey got Kelsey
Cleveland job.
Hill. He got Kelsey and Hill.
Oh yeah.
And
then he
and
went to Cleveland, didn't he?
And the left tackle, yeah. And then he went in Cleveland and got Baker. But what they did, and what I believe Andy Reid told them, there is no system. Get me the best talent, and I will build the system around the talent. Okay? Actually, I think I might have tweeted this out. I did tweet out the article, and I quoted, so basically do everything that Denver hasn't done. Is basically you get the talent, and then Andy Reid, who's a great coach, one of the best coaches in NFL history, will build the talent or build the system around the talent. So what they did was, all right, Tyreek Hill, speed guy, right? Great receiver. He can kind of be everywhere, so he fits whatever system. They went out. They got Sammy Watkins. Well, what they saw in Sammy Watkins was he was fine on the outside, but what Buffalo wanted him to do, he wasn't very good at. You know what he was great at, though? What they saw? Playing in the slot. So that's what they did. Now Sammy Watkins is a slot receiver, and he's incredible. And it's because they built the system around him. They put him in positions where what he's great at, not trying to fit him because he was a number 1 pick, a first-round pick. They're putting him in positions to succeed, right? The running back that they got, right? I wouldn't say he's a running back where you can lean on, but in that system, he's great because he's great coming out of the backfield, catching the ball.
Great at catching it.
Right. They put in positions. Hardman, speed receiver. What do? Reverses. Coming across the middle, slant routes. Stuff that they kind of do with Tyreek, but Tyreek has just another level to him. So that's, and then Kelsey kind of fits whatever. Kelsey's the best tight end in the league. So they, I think Andy Reid did a great job of saying, go get me the talent. I'll fit the system around him. They talked about Mahomes. When they drafted Mahomes, they saw Mahomes as a vertical spread guy. Not really under center, So that's what they wanted. So they built the system around Mahomes, and then not only that, but got him the pieces to do so. So the speed with Hardman, you know, Edwards-Helaire, Sammy Watkins in the slot. They went out and got those guys to fit that system. And that's what's allowed Mahomes to be as great. Now, Mahomes is great, and he's obviously, it's not like this, it's not just, the system is making him that good. He is that good. It's just the reason why they're winning Super Bowls is because they built the system around him. And then they got to the money thing with Mahomes. Obviously, he was going to require a lot of money. But there's a part in this article, and I should have highlighted or something so I could get back to it. But basically, within the cap, and among other quarterbacks, throughout the 10 years, he will never be the 7th highest paid quarterback. Think about that. He will be barely a top 10. And honestly, when the cap goes up and more quarterbacks are getting paid, he probably won't even break the top 10. That's how you build. They're not going anywhere. He essentially did what Brady's done. What's made New England so great? Brady's taken money off the table year after year, taking a pay cut year after year, allowing the Patriots to go out and get guys. They haven't been that great in the draft. They've just been able to go pay guys and keep their guys. And Mahomes, there was a part in this where it was the first thing Mahomes did after he signed his contract. He texted, who's the defensive end? I'm blanking on Clark.
Frank Clark.
Frank Clark.
Yeah.
He texted Frank Clark and said, "I got you. I left money on the table." That's the first thing he did. So that's where, and so going back to that conversation where I was saying I would trade Russell Wilson, and if I'm Seattle right now, I would think about it because he's making top 5, top 3 money. You can't do anything else. That's why you lost Richard Sherman. That's why you have to let go
Richard
of the
Sherman
Legion
was
of
getting hurt all the time.
Yes,
I don't know if that's
but
why
that's why
lost
you
him.
couldn't trade the whole Legion of Boom, or you couldn't keep the
They all
whole
got
Legion
hurt.
of Boom together. True, but they
all ran
hurt.
into injuries.
But they couldn't keep all of them. They couldn't pay all of them.
No, but I mean,
the Broncos,
they had an easy way out.
Look at the Broncos. The year after they won the Super Bowl, they got screwed, right? They lost Malik, blah blah blah. They lost a ton of guys, and they couldn't keep it together. So when you're having to pay a Von Miller that much money, or a Peyton Manning that much money, or a Russell Wilson that much money, or an Aaron Rodgers that much money, you sacrifice the rest of your roster. And that's why Aaron Rodgers hasn't been back. That's why Russell Wilson hasn't been back. They can get to the divisional round, maybe the NFC Championship game or the AFC Championship game. But guess who's winning the Super Bowls? Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Why? Because they're taking pay cuts. The other teams making it to the Super Bowls have a quarterback in their first 4 years on a rookie contract. Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, or Nick Foles. So look at it. Look at the last 10 years. It's not the top 5 paid quarterbacks. It's not Matthew Stafford. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's not Matt Ryan. Well, Matt Ryan was one of them. But, that's the difference. It's the guy. It's either the great quarterbacks taking pay cuts or the young up-and-coming quarterbacks on rookie contracts. That's what it is.
You make a great point. All that was a great point, but you're still wrong. So, I don't trade Hall of Famers around here. I keep Hall of Famers. So, that's just me. But since we got into all that, we might as well just do the natural transition. Oh, real quickly, before we talk about the Super Bowl, should Drew Lock feel disrespected?
No. Get over it.
Okay. That's what I agree with, too.
Go
Okay.
cry in the corner.
What about Von Miller
Well,
deleting all his
Von Miller needs to
Instagram
go.
stuff?
And we've talked about the Von Miller. If you want to listen to past podcasts, because I want to get onto the Super Bowl. If you want to listen to past podcasts, we've talked about Von Miller. Von Miller it's time to go. He's in the position.
It's so
that,
funny to me.
He's in the
he
position
loves attention.
that DeMarcus Ware was when he joined the Broncos. Von, go join Kansas City. Go join them. I'm telling you, go join Tampa Bay. whoever you think is going to win the Super Bowl, go join them. Take a pay cut. Go win. You've made your money. You're past your prime. Take the DeMarcus Ware. Why did DeMarcus Ware come to Denver? Peyton Manning. Why? He thought they could win a Super Bowl. He wanted to win. Now, the difference is Vaughn has won, but Vaughn wants to win. He wants to continue to win. Also, one thing with Deshaun Watson, look, I wouldn't be upset if Denver gave everything to get Deshaun Watson. Just saying, be careful what you wish for. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of first-round draft picks.
There's for me, there's definitely a stopping point.
Right. You're not in the position to where you're just a quarterback away. You're not the 49ers.
Once I hit the 3 first-round picks, and then I'm out.
Right.
I'm willing to give up the first this year, a second this year, a first next year, maybe a second, but I would do 2 firsts, a second, and then Bradley Chubb.
I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up Bradley Chubb either. I would probably.
If you're partying with Bradley Chubb for Deshaun Watson, I'll do that.
Well, I would probably give up 3 firsts at most.
I had 8 sacks this year.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure, you could always find pass rushers. The problem is, look, Deshaun Watson makes a lot of money, so you're not gonna have a lot of money to go out and get more pieces defensively. Your offense is young, so you don't have to pay your offense yet. So that's where it gets tricky. If I were to land Deshaun Watson off of the 3 first-round bid, whatever, I would make sure that his next contract is essentially the Patrick Mahomes contract. Where you're never, and I would ask him, you want to win or not? Because if you want to win, we have to go this route.
That's the thing. It's rare though. I get all you said about Patrick Mahomes.
It is rare.
Him taking the pay. It's not easy to find a great Hall of Fame talent at quarterback, and he's also willing to take less money.
Well, look at Peyton. Peyton was never willing to take less money.
Exactly.
And
so
look what happened. He only went to. He went to 4, but.
That's literally the perfect situation. New England and Kansas City got the perfect situation. They got 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks who in my mind will go down as the 2 best to do it, and I think Patrick Mahomes will eventually surpass Tom Brady as the best to do it. But not only are they at that echelon of quarterback play, but they're also willing to leave money on the table, probably because they know that they're going to make a killing in endorsements, so they'll just make it up anyways. But they got the best situation, and they have Hall of Fame coaches who know how to incorporate talent and get the best out of guys. So, all right, let's get to the Super Bowl because
let's go ahead and do this. So we've been going a while, and I need to take a 30-minute
intermission,
a 30-minute to an hour break. Because I got things going on. So let's do our own. We won't live stream it, but we will post a separate Super Bowl podcast tonight.
That works. Sure, we can do that.
So let's just do that.
We'll do a hockey intermission. So shout out to Philip, to Coach for hanging out with us in the stream and interacting. I'm sorry that you had to listen to some of Brandon's takes. That's just a part of the business, right. You come here for me and you leave.
There's proof. There's proof.
You come for me, you leave for Brandon. You can see it in my bio. I'm the star host of the podcast. Brandon's my Jamal Murray. I just need him at times to pick it up a little bit, to be a little bit more consistent.
So disrespectful. Do not compare to Jamal Murray.
Just a little bit more consistent. But no, shout out to you guys for tuning in. I'm glad you didn't anger any of our listeners in different countries.
Oh yeah, Campazzo sucks, dude. He needs to get. Okay. He cannot get more minutes. This is ridiculous.
He's hurt right now.
Good.
Okay? He's got anything.
Good.
He's limited.
He's bad.
He's limited.
He's
not.
He's bad.
I mean, he's just a guy. He's a guy. In Europe, he was a really good guy.
He's a 11th or 12th guy on the bench. That's what he is.
I can't disagray. He does nice things.
Start playing these younger guys. This is getting ridiculous. I don't know. Dude, it's pissing me off. Why? How did he turn into George Farwell?
I mean,
what the hell?
Why are you shocked? Did you think RJ and Najee and those guys were going to see time? I didn't.
Well, I mean, he's a great developmental coach. Develop your players. Play them.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for this episode. Shout out to all you
5'2"
guys
point guard.
who have listened today, who rocked with us through YouTube. We'll post this one shortly, and then our Super Bowl prediction. I don't know where you're gonna go. I know where I'm gonna go. I don't know. I don't know where you're gonna go because you don't like Patrick Mahomes. You kind of hate him.
Patrick,
You wanted to trade him.
I'll give a hint, okay? Because I might make Broncos fans mad. I am more of a Kansas City fan right now than the Denver Broncos.
What is wrong? I wouldn't even dare say that. Like I like Patrick Mahomes, but I would.
Loving the way they're doing everything.
You're a fan.
I read
You're a Chiefs.
I read the article. It was an amazing article. And last night, I watched several Super Bowl Kansas City videos on YouTube from last year. They were fantastic. I'm loving it.
I'm putting out a poll right now, and I'm going to tag you in it. I think you should be removed from Broncos country after saying something like that. You just said you're a Chiefs fan.
I am more
Those words came out of your mouth.
I am more of a Chiefs fan right now than a Denver Broncos fan.
I think you just had your Broncos country credentials revoked. I think you're a free agent fan now. So
well, then
I'm pretty sure.
Hey, look, if it got revoked, I'm gonna go buy a Mahomes jersey.
I'm gonna put out a poll. I would like everyone to vote. Yeah. See, Philip says it's been revoked. Yeah, it's been revoked. There's no coming back now.
Look. They just did things the right way.
Listen,
That's all
I like
want.
Patrick Mahomes, but never would you hear me say I'm a Kansas City. I can't even say it. I can't even say it. I can't even pretend to say it.
Just do it the right way. That's all I
had a
ask.
poll. Should your Broncos country fan credentials be revoked? All right. So for Brandon Stoll, the Chiefs fan on the other, that's how I'm gonna introduce you.
Have had their heads up their asses for the last 5 years. I'm done.
Yeah, I don't need to say you're a Chiefs fan. Blah. Blah. Yeah.
Right now,
I'm disappointed.
currently, because I'm enjoying them. I'm gonna enjoy the ride. I hated Tom Brady. I hated Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts. I hated Kobe. I hated LeBron when in his first stint in Cleveland. I'm done with that. I'm gonna enjoy watching these great players. Mahomes is incredible.
You can enjoy them and not be a fan of the team.
I'm a fan of Mahomes.
I'm still hoping that they lose.
Mahomes. Now it depends on what happens tomorrow. And we'll get to that in the podcast, but I think he's going to be the greatest of all time.
Well, so do I.
But it all depends on tomorrow.
I disagree with that. But we can talk about that. We'll talk about that later. So for Brandon Stoll, the Chiefs fan on the other side, I'm Stephen Priest Jr. Shout out again to Philip.
I'm wearing red tomorrow. I'm rooting for them.
Ugh, you're gross.
Doesn't mean I'll pick them, but I'm rooting for them.
You know what the end of the football season means, though? You know what that means?
Sadness.
Oh, in a sense, yes.
Sadness because I'm enjoying watching the Chiefs. Happiness because I don't have to, deal with Broncos anymore.
Happiness for me because I finally get my winnings from Pick'em this year. Well, so,
forgot about that.
Yeah. I didn't.
You only get
Trust me.
You only get your 10 because you blew it. Oh no, you get 20 because of Cleveland.
Yeah, whoa. Listen, all right. Don't short me on this. Okay.
Yeah, you get the 20.
I need my. They had this strawberry cheesecake chocolate one this week. Oh my gosh.
Moving on.
Ugh, that place. I might die because of that place, but you know what? Suitable death. If I go out because of Crumble, I've been honored the right way. All right. Every time I try to end a podcast, it takes 20 minutes. For Brandon Stoll on the other side, I'm Stephen Priest. This has been the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast. We will put our Super Bowl prediction podcast out later. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. Brandon Stoll just said on the podcast he is a Chiefs fan.